What is up, guys? I am back with some more content, and this time I got some friends here.
What is up, people? It is your favorite chat reader, Mr. BTP, as I'm known in some areas. Y aquí andamos con la plebada.
And, of course, we also have...
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the pack. I am sorry. Okay.
No. See, what we were going to be doing today is we were going to be responding to an article from Hispanic executive about the term...
Listen, we are doing that. Listen,
yeah, because we're going to show them...
Finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, guys. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, you guys. And today we're going to be, as he said, responding to an article from Hispanic executive on the topic of, well, you'll see when we get into it. So I'll let him explain.
Yeah.
But a real quick question. Why did you say that that's what we were going to do?
That's what we were going to do, but now we need to talk about what your strange antics and your unorthodox introductions and your weird behavior.
We can have that conversation after the show.
All right, bet.
Okay?
We can have it off screen, okay?
So Hispanic Executive is a publication that reports to have the interests of the Latino community in its as its own best interest, right? So we're going to be reviewing this article that they made, and we're going to see if that's actually true. We're going to see if it's, if they live up to their name, because that's a cool name. But
it's a very cool name.
That is a pretty nice name.
But as you're going to see, spoiler alert, they are not
website on that.
They are not going to live up to anything. So let's just start reading. So this is the article. They're talking about the terms Latine and Latinex, which are gender-neutral terms for Latin American people. And we're just going to be answering this ridiculous article because it's ridiculous.
While people with Latin American heritage are the monolith, these are the most inclusive terms.
Why not answer it? Okay.
Used when referring to a group of people with Latin American roots.
So they're saying that this is the most inclusive. These are the most inclusive terms to use with people who have Latin American roots.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I would ask you, who even cares? Like,
yeah, why
do you guys put inclusion on a pedestal? And this is why I never understand, like all of the DEI stuff, diversity, equity, inclusion. I never understand why you guys put all this stuff on a pedestal all the time. I don't get it.
I don't understand.
Why do I care whether somebody feels included by the word I use?
Trinity audio player, listen, button. How the brain lands. As a living entity, language is always evolving, especially in a country as diverse as the U.S.
Therefore, get out of here.
Terms used to refer to people of Latin American heritage who reside in the U.S. are no exception and
so they're talking about language is always evolving, blah, blah, blah.
have changed vastly throughout the last few decades. Currently, the pan-ethnic terms Latinx or Latine are the most inclusive. Okay, why is that? But the debate over which is best
continues. Why are we having this debate? This is terrible. This is a ridiculous debate.
Why is the debate even being had in the first place?
This whole debate presupposes that this is something that actually affects anybody ever. Because they're going to make a point about how the terms Hispanic and Latino are offensive and outdated. I don't care if somebody calls me either one.
I don't care.
Personally.
I don't care either. There is a difference, but I don't really care much about that.
There's a difference, but I don't.
That only speak Spanish.
I don't care, dude.
Hispanic and Latino are increasingly seen as outdated terms to refer to people of Latin American heritage for several reasons. Hispanic is often insulting to many people of Latin American.
Hispanic is often insulting to many people. I've never been insulted by that word in my life.
I have never been even remotely offended by being called Hispanic.
What the hell?
I've called myself Hispanic, bro.
Wait,
what the fuck?
Let's look at the reason.
Heritage at the center of the heritage of the colonial powers responsible for the slaughter of Latin.
The colonial powers.
Colonial, yeah.
America's 56 million indigenous people during the largest genocide in history.
America's 56 million indigenous people. What does that have to do with the word?
You guys understand that? I mean, Listen,
Seriously.
I understand and make it a priority to understand history. Do you guys not understand anything about what that was or how that even went? Because I don't think you do. Because if you actually understood anything, you would know that those indigenous tribes or whatever you call them, they would fight each other all the time. They would beat the crap out of each other all the time, raid each other. In fact, the Spaniards recruited some of them to fight other ones. Dude, I don't think you guys know what the hell you're talking about. Like, why do you guys simp so hard for indigenous people? What?
Latino, on the other hand, refers to everyone from Latin America, like other Romance languages.
They don't know half of what they do, bro.
Spanish language traditionally uses the masculine configuration of words to refer to a group of.
Okay, so now they're talking about Spanish configurations in the masculine.
People. The O and the endings of nouns and adjectives in the Spanish language are masculine and feminine, respectively, with the queer and trans community respectively pointed out as not.
Which the queer and trans community has pointed out as a non-inclusive. Dude, we don't care what they care about.
Who cares?
For one,
when has that mattered?
We don't care about. One second. For one, we don't care about what the queer and trans community say, and for two, there's no need to update that because that, as far as I'm concerned, is good. There's only two genders, masculine and feminine. There's no others. Okay.
Also, it doesn't
matter
mean
how you
well
feel
said.
or something.
Also, I don't. Let me point out two things. Number one, there's a hypocrisy in these guys' statements, and number two, they don't understand how the language actually works. So, just because there is a masculine or feminine pronoun in a word doesn't mean that the thing itself is actually gendered in itself, right? That's just how
For instance,
it works.
La silla.
Is a chair.
La silla.
Yeah, it's a chair, but that doesn't mean it possesses a gender.
But it doesn't have
Las sillas, a group of chairs.
Like, if we're going to extend this to the logical endpoint, you just want us to call everything with the E so that people don't get offended? Which, by the way,
Yeah, bro, les sillas? That doesn't make sense.
It's ridiculous. You just end up destroying the language.
Linguistically doesn't make sense at all.
Let me just point out, and I think this is more damning, right? Because you guys claim that you care about preserving Spanish and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah.
But let me point this out to you.
But yeah,
the people
tamper with the language.
It's not even just that. You're doing it on the whims of mostly white individuals, which I don't care about. I don't make it a point to make everything a racial thing, but you guys certainly do.
Yeah.
Because you were just talking about colonialism.
Exactly.
And now you're talking about, this movement that started out of these, mostly white countries. We have to upend another language because of it. That doesn't square very well with your claims about colonialism and
with your own,
and all this stuff. Me personally, I don't make everything about race. I don't care. If there was a group of Latino individuals who were pushing for this, I would criticize them the same way. But it hurts deeper when it's you guys doing this because you guys make a problem out of colonialism and
out of
supposed oppression and all this stuff, right? So this is your issue, not for me to solve.
Heading level 2 Latine. So language has
Okay, now they're talking about the word Latine.
So language has continued to evolve to reflect the changing values of our society and its decay.
Latine, that is so
Latine. It actually does say that for me too.
Latine.
Oh shit,
Latin with an E.
Common in Latin America to use Latine when referring to a group of people rather than so common. So language has heading level. So common in Latin America to use Latine
It's
when referring to a
common
group of
in
people.
Latin America to use the word Latine? I've never heard that in my life.
Hell, it's
Is
not.
it really? Can you guys show me some
never
proof?
heard anyone I know who's
I've
Hispanic.
only ever heard that term used
Yes,
in the
I said
U.S.
Exactly.
Hold on.
I've never heard anyone.
This section. This is hilarious. Let me read this section out to you guys because this is freaking stupid.
Yeah.
It says, Latine is used when referring to a group of people of multiple genders or for someone identifying as non-binary, gender fluid, gender big by gender. What the hell is
Yeah.
Seriously.
See, this is just presupposes that all these things are true
Bi-gender.
and real, which I don't grant.
Agender and gender non-conforming. What the hell is the difference between
Wait, what the hell is gender non-conforming?
It's like people who don't want to be called either male
That
or
is
female
so-
or whatever. Dude. Again,
what is
these
the
guys are
difference between
presupposing
That and
difference.
agender.
there's no real difference now that I think about it, but this all presupposes that all this stuff is
Dude,
real,
I'm-
which
What is the
we
point
don't
of
grant. We don't grant any of
Writing
this
that jargon down.
because they believe
Dude, I'm
in
gonna
all of
erase
it.
this from my history.
Using the E ending isn't masculine or feminine.
Dude, I'm
E
gonna
is used
erase
when
this from my
referring to a group of
history.
people
I can't
of multiple
bear to read
agender
this.
and gender more easily pronounced than Latinx and can be used in
More
plural forms.
easily pronounced
But I'll just keep
than.
reading it for the sake of this.
I mean,
video.
if we're doing subjective, easily pronouncing, I could just easily say the word Latino is more easy to pronounce, right? So I refute that.
It
it
is.
literally is, because it's just part of the language at this point.
Say, oh, it's easier to pronounce, but that's
always
kind of
has been.
subjective. So, I mean, if I
And
just,
also, how
I
does
can
that-
just
how does
answer
that
to you
mean
guys
that
by
we
saying,
should
oh,
use
well,
that?
yeah, that's another question
No.
for inclusion, I guess. But
Yeah,
I mean,
but like, how does its pronounceability
and
have
if
anything to
honestly,
do with their
if these guys want to say like, oh, we feel insulted when you guys use those other terms. I mean, there's bigger issues in the world, bro. Get over it. Come on.
Yeah, I don't care. Who cares?
I don't care, certainly.
Heading level 2 Latinx.
Latinx. What
Okay,
the hell is
Latinx.
this?
Let's see.
Both Latine and
We're gonna settle this debate for these guys.
Heading
Okay?
both Latine and Latinx are gender neutral and inclusive of all genders. Where and how
Both
in Latinx
Latinx and Latina are
Gender
gender neutral
neutral.
and inclusive to all gender. Bro,
originated isn't clear, but the term is more commonly used
off
among English
with
speakers in
that.
the U.S. Latinx.
the term is more commonly used in English speakers.
I like how they
the
how
US?
they
Yeah, I
say
agree.
that they don't
It is.
that the origin of the term Latinx is unclear.
Oh, as if I know exactly where it came from, and it didn't come out of the Hispanic communities. I'll tell you that.
Doesn't flow as easily with the Spanish language, resulting in some
For
feeling that
real.
it's an anglicized
Especially not the
term.
ones
The
in,
Spanish
like,
language traditionally uses E as a gender neutral
I don't
ending
know,
to words
Central
like
American
estudiante,
countries,
which means
or even
student.
Mexico.
Okay, so now their argument is that they prefer the E because it's used in the language itself. So like the word estudiante.
Yep.
But you're just kind of pointing out one kind of word.
You know the problem with that? That I think you would attach the masculine.
You would, el estudiante. You don't say la
masculine el to it,
estudiante, you
right?
say el, yeah. So you just kind of appended your argument. Because even
Yeah.
with the so-called gender neutral thing, you still followed it up with a gendered like pronoun thing. So
Heading level 2 are these terms interchangeable?
are these terms
Latine
interchangeable?
and Hispanic are linked, not interchangeable demographic
They're
terms. Latine
not
refers to people from Latin-
interchangeable demographic terms. Yes, they are. You just admitted it in your article earlier.
But going back to a little bit before, I like how they say that that Spanish traditionally uses these gender neutral terms, which is
Yeah.
like straight up false.
The estudiante
That's
they
not
do
true.
because
It does not.
because they attach a gendered thing either before or after the thing. So I mean, if you want to talk about
problem with that is
tradition,
that-
El estudiante.
and if you want to bring up tradition, all right,
Oh,
guys,
that's
sorry
so
about
nice.
that.
Yes.
Ops, a brief explainer of heading Latine.
My bad.
Las mesas.
So
You know?
I mean, yeah, this is just tradition, right? If you guys want to talk about tradition, well, we traditionally use the thing. So we traditionally use Latina, Latino. That's tradition. So if you I'm bringing up tradition
Everywhere.
as if it helps you, it undermines you.
It does.
Heading Latin America and Hispanic refers to people who speak Spanish. Not all countries in
Hold
Latin
on, I
America
wanna
have.
read this
Spanish
Are
is
these
official
terms
language, for
interchangeable?
instance, in Portuguese is spoken in Brazil and English is spoken in Belize. So while
I want to read
Brazilians and
this
Belizeans
section
are
from
from
that,
Latin America,
from that
therefore
little section. I want to
Latino.
read this because this is hilarious.
Okay.
It says
Okay.
the non-cisgendered. What the hell is that trash?
Cisgender.
Cis?
Non-cisgendered.
Don't ever call me cisgender, by the way, dude. Do not ever.
Seriously.
Anybody watching this, never call me that.
I feel so offended. I feel so
I will be
offended.
That actually
offended
is some
Cisgender.
bullshit.
If you call me that.
And I'm gonna use your own logic against you, and I'm gonna say that I was misgendered. I'm not a cisgender. I'm actually
a man. So
Okay, so
call
don't
me
call
that.
me a
Yes.
cisgender. Anyway,
They
let's
are
read
not
this.
Hispanic.
Let's read
Similarly,
this.
Spaniards
I
speak
am a
Spanish, but they
biological
are
male.
It's actually very interesting.
Some Hispanic, not Latine.
It's actually very
The
interesting that
non-cisgender
they come
community
up
has
with
expressed that they don't feel
they
included
come
in the
up with
term
these
Latino
words that
would prefer that
they
gender
use
numbers, but not would
for
prefer that gender
actual
neutral terms be the
biological
default. Should be used as inconsiderate and not
men
inclusive.
and women.
They're saying this is so basically their whole argument is if you don't do this, because this is the thing they said at the end, if you don't do this, you're inconsiderate and uninclusive. Okay. I mean, we'd rather be that than grant all this other stuff that you just like assume in your article, like cisgender, non-gender, all this stuff does not
Just
exist.
Butcher the
All
language.
this stuff does not exist. I mean, we'll get into that in the next one, because we're planning on doing a response to the whole gender is socially constructed thing, but
Social construct. Yeah.
But we don't grant any of that, and nobody should. And quite frankly, we don't care if a tiny little portion of the population feels included
Yo, we're recording.
or doesn't. Because they're the same demographic who's trying to upend and uproot all of society to follow their pseudoscientific nonsense. So I really don't care what they feel, honestly. Like, I feel bad for them and I want the best for them, but not, I'm not going to extend that to just giving them what they want all the time, which is, I think, the error that these guys always make.
This section is also hilarious, right? It says,
which show concerted efforts to become safer, more equitable, and more inclusive through gender-neutral signage and the removal of gender.
Concerted efforts to become safer,
more equitable, more inclusive. See, now they're using the whole DEI vocabulary. This is the entire woke vocabulary right here, all of it. It's right here.
It's heading level assumptions from processes and systems. Heading safer, more equitable, and assumptions.
Yeah, who's in danger?
Heading level 2, how do you identify?
How do you identify?
To themselves, individuals identified as female still use Latina, and individuals who identify as male use Latino.
Oh wow, they just undermined their whole point when they just said that most females Latina and most males Latino they use. Yeah, so what's the point of any of this then? You just undermine yourself again.
Latino remains the dominant terms used for referring to people with Latin American heritage, and rather than using Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx, and Latine, some people with Latin heritage prefer to use linked terminology that specifies their heritage, such as Uruguayan American.
Most people then they just said, and they undermine themselves again because then they're saying, oh, most people like to use terms that identify with their actual heritage, such as Uruguay, Mexicano, all that stuff, right? So again, then we don't need this term by your own admission.
People from a particular region of the world are the monolith, and Latin America is Latin. Americans in the U.S. are no different. In time, we will likely encounter more new terms that better reflect the society we want to live in.
In time, we will likely encounter more new terms that better reflect the society. Yeah, we're going to encounter more nonsense, I agree. We're going to encounter more stupid words that don't matter and don't need to exist, I agree, yeah. I mean, the whole premise that these guys who you're simping for work off of is a word game, so I agree. They're going to keep trying to make new terms, but I'm not going to concede any of them.
Link submit your story.
And I don't necessarily want to live in a society that does this either, so, I mean, I don't know about want to live in.
I can make up my own gender terms.
I don't know either.
Call me Apache attack helicopter.
I can say...
It's me. It's my gender.
I can say que soy colombiano.
That's your gender. That's your gender and your race.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
That's my gender and my
I could
race.
say I'm
And it's
And I could totally see them saying that races are their own genders because they have their own lived experience or whatever subjective nonsense they say. Well,
that's my gender and race now. You guys call me Hondureña.
That was the Hispanic executive.
Makes sense.
Guys, do you guys think they lived up to their name? The Hispanic executive?
No.
Oh, by the way, 1 second. Why do they call themselves Hispanic executive if they just said they don't like the term Hispanic?
Hispanic? Yeah, I don't know. Looks like you gotta change your name to the Latine executive. See if anybody takes you seriously after that.
Sucks.
Seriously.
That's stupid. Alright, well,
That's freaking stupid.
that was a breakdown of the concept of Latinx. Most Hispanic people that I've spoken to think that this term is a disgrace. It's not even just us. My mom actually thinks that these words are just ridiculous. don't need to exist.
Yeah,
but,
so do the people that are in my family speak Spanish.
hopefully that got our point across, and maybe can start some discourse or something. Maybe you're like a hardcore Latine defender and you think it's necessary or something, but we will see you in the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll be back in the next one.
And check out tbgstudios.com/tbg.
Yep. See you guys later.
All right.